Spencer Ross here with One Step Forward, and I hope you've been well. I took a little bit of time off to go on vacation, and this week I want to talk about that vacation a little bit. Why? Why do I want to talk about that vacation? So, went on vacation with a group of guys and girls. There were girls there too, but it was a planned vacation. So one guy took charge and he planned out some events for us. We went to more activities because the guy had planned. He had tried to plan. The plan didn't work out perfectly. Most plans don't. There's a little bit of adjustment here or there, and that's not a bad thing. We're going to talk about that. But he planned. He at least made the effort beforehand to plan. All right. So if you're trying to become a leader, how are you doing that? How are you accomplishing that? All right. That's what we're going to talk about that today. Planning. When you're trying to become whatever, get married, become an electrician, become a better leader, whatever you're trying to do, what is your plan to get there? How do you plan? Well, that is a good question. Planning's hard. So let's start with this. Who, what, when, where, how, why. Who? You. So I'm going to say me for this to make it easy. So I, who, what, want to become an electrician. When? That's good. Have a deadline. Okay? Who, what, when? Okay. Who, what? If you don't have a deadline, you could just keep going on for infinity until you die and go, man, I never became an electrician. I'm 90 years old. Okay, so what better time than now? There's a Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time, today. Start today. If you're trying to become an electrician, how are you doing that? Have a timeline so that you know when you want to reach your goal. And if you're deviating from that goal, getting off course from that goal. Okay, who, what, when. So Spencer Ross, what? I want to become an electrician. When? I want to become an electrician today. Well, that goal is not realistic. Okay, I want to become an electrician in 2 years. Maybe that goal is realistic. Maybe it needs to be 7 years. I don't know. We're going to get how to get there. Who, what, when, where. All right, so I want to work somewhere in the world. Where doesn't really apply here. So if I want to be a home electrician, if I want to be a car electrician, if I want to be whatever, there's a little bit different subcategories for this one. But as a leader, talking about yourself, when you've got a timeline, what are you trying to do? If you're trying to become the CEO of a bank, yes, that applies across the board. But the CEO for a bank might not be the best spot for a CEO of a startup. Startups are small. Their funding is different. They have different rules. They have different atmosphere or culture or personality types. So you need to figure out what works for you and what you want to do. Who, what, when, where, why. I want to become an electrician. This is my example for today. I want to become an electrician because I like electricity. All right, so you're studying electrician stuff. You're going through, wait, how do you know what to go through? Why? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Go talk to an electrician. Talked about that. Mentorship. Mentorship does not mean you're weak. I keep coming back to this. Mentorship does not mean you're weak, wrong, a failure, whatever. There's people who have done certain things that you want to do. All right. Hey, Bobby, you're an electrician. How did you get to where you are? Oh, I was in the U.S. Navy, and this is what I did to get where I am. Okay, cool. I don't know if I want to be in the Navy. I'm going to go talk to Sam. Sam, you're an electrician. How'd you become an electrician? Oh, my dad owned an electrician company, so I've been working with him since I was 9. Okay, well, maybe your dad doesn't own an electrician company, so you don't want to be in the military. You don't want to be, or your dad was not an electrician. Okay, I don't know if the Peace Corps does it, but they do a lot of cool things. I was looking up something, and it referenced the Peace Corps, so I looked up the Peace Corps. They are now accepting applications again. I know that they do good work. Okay, so maybe that is a pathway to you for whatever your dream is. Maybe you want to be a CEO. They have CEOs of charities. Okay. So maybe working in the Peace Corps is an option to get you on your path. There are many, many ways to get to where you want. I met a guy on a vacation. He studies ticks. It's not my cup of tea. It was very interesting though. And lots of people have done different things, but his way was just a tad bit different, but still in the realm of disease prevention and trying to help people. And ticks. Man, I was like, how did you get in the thought of studying ticks? Said first he was studying mosquitoes, but mosquitoes are hard to catch. And I was like, all right, well, ticks are easier to catch, but I don't like ticks. So I don't know if I could study ticks for 2 years. And that's my life for 2 years, just to study ticks. And that's his doctoral thesis that he gave a presentation on Tuesday or Wednesday. But that's really cool. That's what he wanted to do. And how did he get there? Well, we'll call him Bobby. What? He wanted a doctorate in chemistry. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but for the general and what we need to know, chemistry. Who, what, when, where. So he was working in California, Nevada, and Arizona. Why? He wants to help people. Who, what, when, where, why, how. So he went to people and he talked to them about it. Mentorship. He got involved with a professor. He got funding. Cool. All right. So if you're trying to become an electrician, how are you doing that? Are you talking to Bobby and Sammy? All right, Sally, how did you become an electrician? Oh, well, I went to community college for it, or I went to adult school for it, and I had to work hard. And I was working a full-time job and going to school at the same time. All right. I like giving examples because I don't want you to be limited by the example that I give. But I want you to think about narrowing your path. The reason why is you have one life. You have 1 hour. Then you have another hour. You've got 1 minute. You got another minute. In the news today, they're talking about making the second more exact. And I was thinking about it with the trip that I was on, the planning that was done. My team had a good time and we got the most amount accomplished. Okay, cool. We didn't get a trophy. No one got promoted. Nothing. All right, so there's no accolades at the end of it. As a leader, no one's going to pat you on the back and say, hey, good job. You're a better leader today than you were yesterday. That's most likely not going to happen. But you're going to know it in yourself. So that remember, you're a leader of yourself first. That is who you are a leader of first. You can influence other people and other people can influence you, but ultimately you have to make the decision on the plan that you make, the plan that you execute, the rest that you take, the breaks, the mentorship, the reading articles, watching YouTube videos, watching different YouTube videos. I love that people watch my videos. Awesome. Thank you. If you have a comment, willing to listen to it. That doesn't mean I'm always going to agree with it, but I'm willing to listen to it. As a leader, you need to be willing to take outside input. If you're just blazing a trail, yes, there are trailblazers out there, but that doesn't make the trail right. Just because you're on a path doesn't make it right. If you're hiking and you're on a trail and there's signs that say, please stay on the trail, well, if you apply that to life, you could be on someone's path and that could be a good thing and you could follow their mentorship and get to your goal. Sometimes you have to go off the trail and you have to do your own thing. Amazon, Google, eBay, PayPal, they call it Square now. It's a little thing that goes on your phone and it can read cards. Okay. The printing press. The list goes on of trailblazers, but the list also goes on of people, the Wright brothers, for example, of who were on the trail and said, hey, I want to complete the task. I've talked about this. There was a French guy who complained that the Wright brothers actually did not invent the airplane, a French guy did, but the Wright brothers read all the books, put everything together, and completed it. Well, then they get the credit because they completed it. Okay? If you write a book and never publish it, okay, and someone else writes a book, the exact same thing, and publishes it, they get the credit. If you're a leader and you're developing yourself, but you never act on what you've learned, you don't get the credit for it. And again, that's not what we're here for, but we're trying to make the world around us a better place. Who? Spencer. What? Trying to become a better leader. How? So he's studying things, he's watching YouTube videos, he's talking to people, he's going out there and trying public speaking, he's going out there and mentoring, he's doing these things. Who, what, when. So he wants to become a leader sooner rather than later because he doesn't want to be immature. He wants to be a positive impact on the world around him. Who, what, when, where, why. Because I don't want to be immature. Why do I want to do it? Because I've looked around and I've seen people act in a way that I disagree with. And that doesn't make me always right. But we've seen this too. It's not that I have all the answers, but I've watched people be mean to other people and no one stand up for them outside of the elementary school I work at or the high school I work at, but in life. Right? We've all seen that. We've all experienced that. What are you going to do? Are you going to stand by and let it happen? Or are you going to be the one who's mean and then a couple days later go, man, I didn't treat that person well? Who, what, when, where, why, how? I'll cover the how. And it's okay to get this stuff out of order. Are you asking for mentorship? Are you trying to make a plan? All right, so Spencer, who? What? Become an electrician. When? All right. So a guy started when he was 9. A guy was in the Navy. A guy was doing all this stuff. So I'm looking online and it takes 7 years to become an electrician. You have to go through an apprentice period. Okay, cool. So in 8 years, I want to be an electrician. Who, what, when, where? Well, I can apply where to going down the street and maybe going to an electrician store and say, hey, do you have anybody who you know that needs somebody to be an apprentice? I'll work for anything, or I'll work for a certain amount. Checking job boards, going to the community college, going to the adult school, wherever you need to go to find a job, to find someone who will teach you. Maybe you go into Home Depot and you're asking about the dude who's standing in the aisle, hey, I'm trying to become an electrician. Do you have any recommendations on someone who's hiring? Hey man, I'm just a dad here trying to fix the electric scooter for my car. Okay, you talk to the next person. You talk to the next person. You talk to the next person. And you finally find someone and they say, no, I don't, but why don't you Google it? Oh, you know what? I didn't think of that. And that's okay. It's okay to not know everything. It's okay to not think of it. Okay? It's okay to have the best plan, have it adjusted, and then have someone else's input adjust your plan and then adjust your direction. What's your goal? If your goal is to become an electrician, does it matter how you get there? If your goal is to become a better leader, does it matter the input? Yeah, you want to be a good leader, but if you're learning from people who aren't perfect, that's valuable. Because you're learning. If you're learning from people who are perfect, which there are no perfect people out there, but if you're learning from people who are perfect, that's valuable. Bill Bender, nicest guy I know. Nicest guy I know. Cool. So I'm going to learn how to be nice from him. I'm going to watch how he does stuff. I'm going to watch how he talks to people. I'm going to listen to how he talks to people. I'm going to go to people who I've watched and known to say, hey, can you mentor me? If I'm not going out, I'm not going to meet people. If I'm not looking online to figure out how to be a mentor or a leader or an electrician, it's going to be hard to grow. I've got to be willing, one, to take input. I've got to be willing to learn, and I've got to be willing to take the time to look up how to grow. If I need to go to school Am I adjusting my schedule to go to school? Well, my job. Okay, personally, that's an excuse. I've known too many people for too long, including myself, who went to school full time, who worked full time, volunteered, and were a productive member of their family. Well, Spencer, you don't know my story. That's true, I do not. I don't. If you'd like to share it with me so I can become a better leader, more than willing to listen. But are you letting that hold you back? Be honest with yourself. Are you letting that hold you back? If you're not being honest with yourself, it's going to take longer or it's going to be more difficult to get to the goal that you're at. You need people to criticize you. Someone criticized me the other day and they were pretty harsh. I could choose to reject it. I could choose to reject it and quit. I could choose to accept it and not change. I can choose to accept it and change some of it. I could choose to accept it and change what I need to change. I don't need to adjust my whole presentation, but I do need to adjust probably about 10% of it. And that's the part they were criticizing. And they were not particularly nice. And that is okay, because I was taught with mentorship from my mom and dad and the people that they had in my life when I was growing up to listen to the message and not necessarily listen to how the message was delivered. I was wrong. I was 90% right, but I was wrong in 10% of it. And they were correcting that 10% mark. I choose how to respond to that. I gave a justification on why I did it. They disagreed. And they said how I need to adjust. So I was quiet and I was writing stuff down, and the guy was kind of concerned, and I was like, no, I'm right. I'm taking notes. He was like, all right. I'm like, no, you're fine. It's okay. Okay? What are you going to do? How are you going to respond? If someone tells you, hey, to become an electrician, you need to do these steps, and you go to the next person and you say, hey, this guy gave me a list of 10 things, and someone crosses out all of them except one, get a third opinion. They cross out the one and they circle the other 9 that were already crossed out. Okay, well, now you've got some conflicting information, so you need to make a judgment on that. That's okay. As a leader, you're going to have to decide what you do. Go to a 4th person. Go to a 5th person. Okay, my friend applied for a job. He got rejected because he didn't have anything. So what he did is he called them and said, why did you reject my application? Oh, because you didn't have these 2 things. You can go to school for one of them. This other one, you need to do an apprenticeship for. Okay, so now he knows when he applies for that job next year, he has a better chance because he has the knowledge, so he can take that class before he applies for the test, or not apply at all because he's not going to get accepted. What you do is up to you. Have a plan. If your plan doesn't go right, that's okay. Have a plan. Have a general idea of your interview. Have a general idea of the interview. You're making that presentation to get a loan to buy the house. Have a general idea of how you're going to do it. Have a plan. If the plan gets adjusted, adjust, adapt, overcome. I think it was a boxer, Mike Tyson, who said everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. What are you going to do? Are you going to have a plan before you get punched in the mouth, or are you just going to go get punched in the mouth? I know, electricians, leaders, punching in the mouth. Have a plan. Think about it. Ask for mentorship. Ask for help. Read, study. Take some time out of your day to make yourself better. Whether it's whatever, but definitely as a leader. I need your leadership. I do. I'm not making these videos just so people can listen to me. I ask questions. I've been asking more questions now since I started making these videos, because I know when I make these videos, like, man, I'm missing stuff. Okay? Have a plan. It's okay to have a plan. Don't let people make fun of your plan. Adjust if needed, but keep going. Have some internal fortitude and keep going. Spencer Ross, One Step Forward. Have a great week.